Dystopia warning. Jesus. Yeah, that's right. I'm here today to tell you about yet another Conservative scandal. Another Tory Free Willy. Yeah, that's right, from the government that's supposed to be, I don't know, presiding over the well-being of 60-odd million people. We've got yet another one that has fallen to the whims of what resides in his trousers. And just like the rest of them, this one's pretty aptly named. Do you remember Chris Pincher, the Tory whip that Boris Johnson promoted, despite him being quite well known for having a penchant for going around grabbing up other male Tory MPs? Well, this one is called William Rag. Yeah, and when his name's shortened, it turns into Willy Rag. Just like Peter Bone, Boney MP. What next? Lord Fondles, David Knockatoucher, Bob Gapes, Lord I mean, the possibilities are endless, aren't they? Now, this is a story of profound idiocy. You're looking at a fella there who would probably sell his house, to give a Nigerian prince, the keys to his kingdom. Essentially, this guy got his chap out for the lads, didn't he? Or should that be, he got his chap out for the Vlads? Considering, the extent of Russian interference in our politics, meaning that it was probably some fella in Moscow jumping on Grindr, setting the location to Westminster and just taking his pick of idiots. There must be no sport in it for them. Because we've got a Conservative party that's essentially working for the Kremlin, that's taken over 60 grand, from Russian-linked donors since the war in Ukraine began. Even more since, I'd imagine. And not just any old donor, no. It's Lyubov Shnurkin, the wife of Putin's former finance minister. Nothing to worry about though. No, they're patriots, aren't they? Are they Anyway, let me tell you the story of Willy Rag. He was contacted by a fella on Grindr, which is the relatively popular gay dating app, right? Pretty standard, Single people, they use dating apps, no problem with that whatsoever. It becomes a problem, though, when you're a serving Conservative MP in the public eye, decides to send a picture of your chap to a complete stranger that you've never met. Although between you and me, I can't imagine him having one. No. I just imagine it's like a Ken doll down there. Or, like a Porsche's bonnet. It's really hard to imagine a man that looks like a giant baby having any semblance of genitals. Like Jacob Rees-Mogg. There's nothing there. Just a kind of haunted mist that produces children that look like spectres. Anyway, there was old Free Willy, right? Scrolling through Grindr, sent off the picture. The guy decided to ask William Rag for the numbers of a number of his colleagues, MPs, right? Political journalists. I find it quite interesting in this entire article that political journalists are referred to as his colleagues. I mean, it's true, because they basically work for the government. Just didn't expect them to admit it so freely, right? So this person went on to try and catfish or get information from a number of other, presumably Conservative MPs, right? But I know what you're thinking. Nah, they wouldn't fall for it. They can't be that thick, can they? Except 2 of the MPs responded by sending explicit pictures of themselves. What the fuck? These people are in control of our country. They're responsible for our tax money. Yeah. And when you look around at all the public services and see why they're on fire, it's because we've got idiots like this running things into the ground. One of the most amusing parts of this for me personally is the fact that that fella is a part of a Conservative hard right faction referred to as the Common Sense Group. Wow. Someone in that group ought to tell him that it's not exactly peak common sense to flop out your knob for a stranger. I should also tell him that it's hard right, not hard right. It's not a bloody instruction. Explaining basic morals to this lot is like explaining maths to geese. As I've said, they're treating running the country like a public school. Except we're the ones getting buggered in the dorms, whether we like it or not. I just want to say that this further cements my absolute absence of sympathy for him, because that group is obsessed with culture wars, which makes the lives of various communities even worse, including the LGBT community. So, big up the scammer. One of the other things about this that is quite telling, and it really drives home the climate that we're existing in at the moment in this country, in terms of the relationship between the media class and the government's general attitude towards us. And that's the blasé, entitled, shut up, move on, he's apologised attitude that the Tories have to virtually everything. Whether it's a serving MP getting himself embroiled in a honey trap, breaching GDPR by giving out telephone numbers, and becoming a national security risk primed for blackmail, or whether it's, I don't know, just ignoring the fact that one of your £15 million donors called for another female black MP to be shot, or thick as mince 30p Lee going around just throwing out Islamophobia at Sadiq Khan, or the Patterson scandal, or the Jeffrey Cox scandal. The problem is always the rules or people's reactions. There's no accountability whatsoever. There are no standards, and there's no accountability in the press either. The Sunday media rounds. If this was Labour, this would be all over the Sunday media rounds, all over the front pages. What were they running with? Harassing Angela Rayner over what? A grand's worth of tax of a house 15 years ago before she became an MP, in which she's been proven to do zero wrongdoing. I mean, firstly, this lot and their media press wings are in no position to talk about other people being held accountable. Okay? Partygate, COVID fraud, to name just a few. Right? But if you want to talk about tax, let's crack on and talk about the £112 million that Lord Ashcroft avoided via his non-dom status between 2000 and 2010. Should we dig into that, shall we? Should we dig into the cover-up into Russian interference in our politics? No, the Mail won't want to do that, will they? No one wants to upset those oligarchs that are making huge cash donations to the Conservative Party, that are using London as a laundromat for their blood money. No one wants to talk about the fact that after the Russians instigated a chemical attack on British soil, that this traitor went and partied in a villa owned by Lebedev's dad, the former KGB agent. Like there's any such thing as a former KGB agent. This isn't a small deal, no. This guy is a committee chair, vice chair of the 1922 committee. He's in the public eye, and he's falling for a scam from a stranger. He's responsible for what? However many thousand constituents? This isn't someone he was in a relationship with that breached his trust. This was him willingly giving this information to someone that he does not know. It shows that he has terrible judgment, and he should at very least resign. But once again, weak-ass Rishi Sunak has done nothing about it. What's worse is his fellow Conservative MPs have lavished him with sympathy as if he's a victim. This was him making a choice to whop his knob out for someone he doesn't know. My understanding is much like Gavin Williamson, you know, that guy who looks like what would happen if Ted Bundy and Alan Partridge were cousins that shagged each other. He must know where the bodies are hidden, you know. Must have some secrets that he's keeping. He'll probably end up getting a peerage. He'll probably feature in Sunak's dishonours list, because this is how it works. I get a lot of people thinking that because I'm talking about the problems with the mainstream media that I'm some kind of conspiracy theorist now. No. They do all of this in plain sight. I mean, everything is a conspiracy to those that don't understand how anything works. But I've told you how this works, how the media and the government collude. And all that's left for you to do is make your choice at the ballot box.